Hi, I'm Karen MacNeil, and this is WineSpeed.com's People to Know, insider interviews with the most fascinating and important people in the wine business. And today we're here with Remi Cohen, who is the Vice President and General Manager of Cliff Lede Vineyards in the Stag's Leap District of the Napa Valley. Welcome, Remi.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah. So you started out thinking you might be a doctor. How did you move into wine?
Well, I was at UC Berkeley, and I realized I needed to get a job in a laboratory if I wanted to go to medical school. And there were two jobs available at the time, and one involved injecting mice, and the other was doing research on mycorrhizae in the giant Sequoia National Forest. And that just sounded so intriguing, and I interviewed, got this position, and wound up working in plant biology and mycology during my tenure at UC Berkeley, and just fell in love.
Wow, what an incredible opportunity. So your first roles in wine, though, were in the vineyard. I mean, you were at Bouchain Vineyards in Carneros at the southern end of Napa. Why, and you've always stayed in vineyards, why are vineyards special to you?
Well, to me, the vineyard is the foundation of winemaking. It's also the most beautiful part of the industry. I absolutely love walking vineyards to this day. It's my favorite part of my job and my responsibilities. It's where it all begins. And to me, winemaking is telling the story of the vineyard, and I find that so fascinating, and being able to see how different vineyards respond in different vintages, to watch how the vineyards develop through the years, and to see how that gets expressed in wine is the most magical part about being in the wine business.
Yeah. You know, I've always wondered this. When you're trained as you are so deeply and well in vineyards, can you just stand in a vineyard? If someone just put you in a vineyard somewhere, I don't know, Tasmania, someplace you've never been, maybe you have been there, but can you get a sense pretty much right away whether that vineyard is capable of pretty good wine?
I think you could get a pretty good sense. In a way, I feel like sometimes you can just see the magic or feel the magic. But obviously, it takes a long time to really get to know a vineyard and watch it develop over time and see how it responds to different seasons and vintages and challenges and weather, crop levels and canopy management tactics and things like that. So I think you can get a really good initial impression from a snapshot in a vineyard, but it really takes a lot of time and love, and patience is the one thing that I didn't realize how much I would need when I entered into the wine business, and that's something that you really learn when you work in the vineyards.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, you know, I was looking at your bio, and of course you have a master's degree in viticulture and enology. You have an M.B.A. You're even a certified sommelier. Girl, you are, I think, what they call an overachiever here. But
thanks, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I'm wondering what the most challenging part is of working both in vineyards and in winemaking.
To me, that's actually not challenging. I almost don't think of them as being separate, and I've been really fortunate to work with mentors and at wineries where both of those departments are very intricately entwined, where the winemaker is working very closely in the vineyards, and vice versa. The vineyard and viticulturist and vineyard manager are really involved in what's happening in the winery and taste the wines and see their finished product. And I think that that's really important, is to have that connectivity and that kind of feedback mechanism between vineyards and winemaking. For me, the biggest challenge is in the last 5 years getting more involved in the sales and marketing, and because my background is in the wine production and winemaking, and that's where my first love is. This has been, a steep learning curve for me to get into how to sell and market the wine.
Yeah, well, and of course that is critical for you now, because now you're vice president and actually run the whole show at Cliff Lede, which encompasses not just their Stag's Leap property, but also their properties in Anderson Valley. What's your plan in particular for Cliff Lede?
So what's interesting is that we established what we call Lede Family Wines, and the idea is to emphasize that we are a family-owned business. So Cliff Lede established the vineyards when he founded Cliff Lede Vineyards in 2002. But we've grown since then, and we have Fell, which is our Anderson Valley winery, and Cliff Lede Vineyards, which is our Napa Valley winery, and family owned. I think what's amazing is that both of the wineries have a similar focus in that they're vineyard driven. We work with some of the best vineyards in both appellations, the Savoy Vineyard, and some of our grower vineyards in Anderson Valley, the Poetry Vineyard at Cliff Lede, and the wines speak to those places. And so anything that we do is going to build on that foundation. So 2 recent initiatives. One, we recently purchased a 100-acre property, 85 planted acres in Carneros. And that's an area we're really excited about, especially as people are talking about climate change. We are going to be planting some Bordeaux varieties and also some experimental varieties at this new property in Carneros, and that's a pretty exciting initiative. Another one is that we made our first international venture. We met Valenti and Ramon Llagostera from the Priorat, and they had a lot of the same similar interests, very terroir-driven wines, indigenous varieties in the area with their winery called Mas Deutsch, and Cliff entered into a partnership with them at Mas Deutsch, and this partnership is allowing them to build a new winery, which they started crushing in this week for the 2019 vintage.
Wow.
And this is their 20th anniversary of making wine in the Priorat at Mas Deutsch.
Wow, this must be the first Napa Valley Priorat joint venture. The Priorat, of course, being on the eastern side, one of the most eastern appellations in Spain, and very intense wines from that region.
Yeah, beautiful old vine, Carignan and Grenache, vines and vineyards that were in their family since the early 1900s, and really special people, really incredible, unique wines. And again, we appreciate that they're terroir driven. I think the other thing that makes Lede Family Wines unique is that I think we're one of the best interactions of being very serious about winemaking, but also serious about fun. So we want people who come visit us at Cliff Lede Vineyards in Napa, or who experience our wine at restaurants or out in the market, to have a memorable and fun experience with our wines. We don't want to take ourselves too seriously, even though we take our vineyard practices, the vineyards we work with, the quality of the winemaking, the facilities that we work with. We take all those things very seriously, but we like to do it in a way that's fun and creates wines that are unique and memorable and speak of their place.
Yeah, in fact, Cliff is a collector of rock memorabilia, right? So
Yes,
you have a room where you can see all these, I don't know, Beatles albums and all this rock memorabilia, guitars. It's great.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think makes us unique is that when Cliff and David Abreu were developing our estate vineyards in the Stags Leap district, there are so many different blocks, and initially David had named them A1, B2, and Cliff thought it would be more fun to name them after his favorite classic rock songs. So all our vineyard blocks are Whole Lotta Love by Led Zeppelin and Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and we call them the rock blocks. And I like to say that there's actually a double entendre there, because the Stags Leap district is, and our Poetry Vineyard is built into a volcanic rock hillside. So volcanic rocks, classic rock, we call them the Cliff Lede Vineyards rock blocks. And so we do have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what advice would you give a young woman coming up in the wine business who really wants to understand multiple parts of the business as you do?
Well, I think advice would go to anybody, but be willing to do anything. I remember my first day getting a paid job in the wine industry was my incredible internship at Sainsbury in 2001. And the first 3 days, all I did was put the capsules on the bottles, on the bottling line during their bottling. And I was thinking, is this what I got my master's for? But then seeing and being involved in every single aspect is so critical, because then you understand what your team is doing and how important every step is, because if the capsules are not on right, then that's going to give a bad impression to somebody who's going to open the wine. So one thing is to just be willing to do everything. And then I think also to know your skill set and be your own advocate. Yes, you should align yourselves with people who you can learn from and who will promote you and mentor you. That's very important too. But also know your worth. Don't exaggerate it. Know what you can do and what your contribution can be, and let people know. And for me, I think that that's how I've advanced in the industry, is that I've seen areas where things could be done better, or we can do new things or different things, and I'm willing to say something about it. And it's not in a way that should offend anybody else, but it's an exciting opportunity that, as a team, that you can work on and build towards these new initiatives.
Right. Well, lastly, for the video part of our interview, tell us something about you that most people don't know.
Okay, well, I'm from New Jersey, so I like to say that I'm like an Advil. I'm California coded, sweet at the core, but Jersey in the center. so it's good to stay on my good side.
Excellent. Well, our complete interview with Remi Cohen is on winespeed.com. Check it out. You'll really like it.